The Golden Boot, football's most storied individual prize, awarded to the top scorer of the World Cup. This is the story of the 2026 race, where it stands today, how the knockout rounds have shaped it, and how every winner since 1930 got there. Before we get to 2026, let's set the stage. What exactly is the Golden Boot? How are ties broken? And why does it matter so much to the players chasing it? The Golden Boot goes to the tournament's leading goal scorer, recognized all the way back to 1930, though it's only been formally presented since 1982. Across 23 editions, 31 different players have won it, and one record still stands untouched: Just Fontaine's 13 goals in a single tournament back in 1958. When players finish level on goals, FIFA has a three-step tiebreaker. First, most assists. If that's still tied, fewest minutes played decides it, rewarding efficiency over sheer game time. It's a system that's decided some of the closest races in tournament history. Now the race as it stands in 2026. Who's leading, who's chasing, and how the knockout rounds have already flipped the lead more than once. Through the quarterfinals, it's a dead heat at the top. Kylian Mbappé and Lionel Messi, both on 8 goals, with Mbappé ahead on the assist tiebreaker. Erling Haaland trails by 1, and England's Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham round out the contenders on 6 apiece. Mbappé already owns the 2022 Golden Boot. Win it again in 2026, and he'd become the first player in World Cup history to claim it twice. His curling finish against Morocco in the quarterfinal pulled him level with Messi and ahead on the tiebreak. Messi, meanwhile, is the all-time leading scorer in World Cup history with 21 career goals. But across 6 tournaments and a title in 2022, there's one prize that's eluded him: the Golden Boot. This might be his last real shot. Haaland is playing in his first ever World Cup and making it count. A stunning brace against Brazil kept him firmly inside the top 3, just 1 goal off the lead. Kane already has a Golden Boot from 2018. His brace against Congo DR and a goal against Mexico have kept him in striking distance of a second, and nobody saw Bellingham coming into this conversation. Braces against Mexico and Norway made him the first player since Maradona in 1986 to score twice in back-to-back knockout matches. It started early. Messi opened with a hat-trick against Algeria, his first ever World Cup hat-trick. Mbappé answered with a brace of his own against Senegal. Haaland built steadily, setting up the knockout surge that was still to come. In the round of 32, Mbappé struck again, his 3rd brace of the tournament, this time against Sweden. Messi came off the bench to score a free kick against Jordan, and Bellingham quietly began his streak with a goal against Mexico. The round of 16 is where it got dramatic. Messi scored a late equalizer against Egypt in a 3-2 comeback win, snatching back the Golden Boot lead. Kane scored twice against Congo DR, and Mbappé's penalty against Paraguay pulled him level with Messi again. Then in the quarterfinals, Mbappé's curled finish against Morocco moved him ahead on the tiebreaker. Haaland delivered a stunner of a brace against Brazil, and Bellingham made it 2 straight multi-goal knockout games with a brace against Norway. Strip away everything else, and this tournament has really been one long duel. The lead has swapped hands 4 times between Mbappé and Messi: hat-trick, brace, equalizer, quarter-final goal, and it's still not settled. Zoom out, and this Golden Boot race is happening inside history books being rewritten in real time. Messi passed Miroslav Klose's record to become the all-time World Cup scorer with 21 goals. Mbappé sits right behind him with 20 at just 27 years old. 2 semifinal matches remain, then the 3rd-place game, then the final on July 19th. History shows the final round matters. Several past winners scored in the final itself. Every goal from here changes the calculus. Now let's go back to the beginning. 22 tournaments, 22 different top scorers, and 22 stories about how each one's campaign connected to that year's final. The very first World Cup top scorer was Argentina's Guillermo Stábile in 1930. He scored 8 goals, including a hat-trick in the semi-final, but was controversially left out of the final 11 as Argentina lost 4-2 to Uruguay. In 1934, Czechoslovakia's Oldřich Nehedlý scored 5 goals and delivered in the biggest moment of all, netting his side's goal in the final itself, a 2-1 extra-time loss to Italy. In 1938, Brazil's Leonidas, nicknamed the Black Diamond, is credited with popularizing the bicycle kick on the World Cup stage. He scored 7 goals but was rested for the semi-final loss to Italy and never got a shot at the final. Brazil's Ademir scored 9 goals in 1950 at a home World Cup that used a final group instead of a knockout final. It didn't matter. Brazil still lost the decisive match to Uruguay in the legendary Maracanazo. In 1954, Hungary's Sandor Kocsis, nicknamed the Golden Head, scored 11 goals, still the third highest single tournament total ever. But his team suffered one of football's great upsets, losing the final to a West Germany side they'd beaten 8-3 in the group stage. And then there's the record that's never been touched. In 1958, Just Fontaine scored 13 goals in just 6 games, including 4 alone in the third-place match. 68 years later, nobody has come close. 1962 produced the lowest winning tally in World Cup history. 6 players finished level on just 4 goals each. No single Golden Boot was decisively awarded, though Garrincha and Vava's Brazil went on to win the tournament. In 1966, Portugal's Eusebio, the Black Panther, scored 9 goals and single-handedly dragged his team back from 3-0 down to win a quarterfinal. Portugal fell in the semis to host England, and Eusebio scored twice in the third-place win. In 1970, Gerd Müller scored 10 goals for West Germany, setting the template for the modern poacher. His side lost a classic 4-3 extra-time semifinal to Italy, while Brazil went on to lift the trophy. Poland's surprise attacking side in 1974 was built around Grzegorz Lado's 7 goals. They were edged out of the final by host West Germany in a second-round decider, then beat Brazil to take third place. In 1978, Mario Kempes delivered on the biggest stage of all, scoring twice in Argentina's 3-1 extra-time win over the Netherlands in the final. He's one of only 5 players ever to win the Golden Boot and the World Cup in the same year. Paolo Rossi's story in 1982 is remarkable. A player returning from suspension who became a national hero, scoring in Italy's 3-1 final win over West Germany. He remains the only player ever to win both the Golden Boot and the Golden Ball in the same tournament. In 1986, Gary Lineker's 6 goals make him the only English player ever to win the World Cup Golden Boot outright. England's run ended in the quarterfinals against Maradona's Argentina and the infamous Hand of God. A late squad addition became the tournament's breakout star in 1990. Total Shilishi's 6 goals helped Italy to third place after a semi-final penalty shootout loss to Argentina. 1994 produced a shared Golden Boot with wildly different stories. Bulgaria's Stoichkov reached the semifinals, while Russia's Salenko scored 5 goals in a single match. Still a record, yet his team didn't even survive the group stage. Croatia's World Cup debut in 1998 produced one of the great surprise runs, led by Davor Šuker's finishing. They fell to host France in the semis, then beat the Netherlands for third place. 2002 gave us one of sport's great redemption arcs, returning from career-threatening knee injuries. Ronaldo scored 8 goals, including twice in the final, as Brazil beat Germany 2-0 to lift a 5th title. 2006 was the first of 4 tournaments that would eventually make Miroslav Klose the World Cup's all-time record scorer. Host nation Germany fell in the semis to Italy, then beat Portugal for third. In 2010, a 20-year-old Thomas Müller announced himself to the world, scoring 5 goals and taking home the Best Young Player award too. Germany lost the semifinal to Spain, then beat Uruguay for third place. Colombia's James Rodriguez scored one of the greatest World Cup goals ever, a first-touch volley against Uruguay, on his way to 6 goals in 2014. His team fell to host Brazil in the quarterfinals. In 2018, Harry Kane's 6 goals, heavy on penalties and set pieces, sparked debate about the quality of Golden Boot goals. England reached the semis before losing to Croatia in extra time, then lost the third-place match to Belgium, which brings us to the most recent chapter, and maybe the most painful. In 2022, Mbappé scored a hat-trick in the final itself, including a stoppage-time equalizer, and still lost on penalties to Argentina. He remains the only player ever to score a final hat-trick and come away without the trophy. 22 campaigns leave behind some clear patterns. Only 5 of those tournaments produced a top scorer who also lifted the trophy. Kempes, Rossi, Ronaldo, and 2 shared title cases. And it hasn't happened at all since 2002. If Mbappé or Messi manage it this year, it would break a 2-decade streak. Some of the game's greats have topped the scoring charts and still gone home without the trophy. Stábile in 1930, Coxis in 1954, and most dramatically Mbappé in 2022, who scored a hat-trick in the final and still lost. 31 different players have won the Golden Boot across 22 tournaments, and not one of them has ever won it twice. Mbappé, with 12 combined career goals across 2018 and 2022, has as good a shot as anyone at being the first. The Golden Boot has almost entirely been a UEFA and CONMEBOL affair, Europe and South America. No player from Africa, Asia, or North America has ever won it outright, and the record book has real extremes. Fontaine's 13 goals in 1958 remain untouched. 6 players shared the lowest ever tally of just 4 goals in 1962, and Ronaldo and Mbappé share the highest tally of the modern official award era at 8 goals each. Back to 2026. With the tournament entering its final stretch, here's how the Golden Boot race ties directly into who's left standing and what's still to come. Mbappé and France need to navigate the semi-final to reach a 3rd straight final. Messi and Argentina are 1 win from both defending the title and finally chasing the boot on the biggest stage. Haaland and Bellingham would both be first-time finalists in runs that have already broken records. History says the final still matters enormously. 5 Golden Boot winners have scored in the final itself, and with the race this tight, a single goal from Mbappé or Messi in the final could decide both the boot and the trophy at once. So here's what to watch. Can Mbappé become the first ever 2-time winner? Can Messi finally add the 1 prize missing from his career? Can Haaland or Bellingham catch up late? And remember, team results still shape the individual race, since the winner almost always comes from a semifinalist. 1 more round to go, and 1 more chapter to write. Whoever lifts the Golden Boot in 2026 will join a list stretching back to 1930. And this year, more than most, it's still anyone's to win.